How the World Abandoned the Tutsi, from Rwanda in 1994 to the present-day crisis in the Congo, the 1994 Rwandan genocide, where approximately 800,000 Tutsi and moderate Hutu were brutally murdered in just 100 days, remains one of the most tragic failures of the international community. The world's inaction and indifference allowed this atrocity to unfold, leading to immense suffering. Alarmingly, similar patterns of violence and abandonment are emerging today in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where Tutsi Congolese, particularly the Banyamulenge community, face persecution and violence. The global community's continued failure to respond adequately to these crises suggests that the lessons from Rwanda have yet to be fully learned. 1. Historical context of Tutsi persecution. Rwanda's colonial and post-colonial legacy. The roots of the Rwandan genocide can be traced back to the colonial period, when Belgian colonizers exacerbated ethnic divisions between the Hutu majority and the Tutsi minority. After Rwanda gained independence in 1962, the Hutu majority took control of the government, leading to cycles of violence and discrimination against the Tutsi, ultimately culminating in the genocide of 1994. The Tutsi Congolese and regional tensions, similarly in the eastern DRC, the Banyamulenge, a Tutsi community with deep historical roots in the region, have long been marginalized and persecuted. Their presence in the DRC dates back to the 19th century, yet they have often been labeled as foreigners by other ethnic groups, leading to discrimination and violence. The instability in the Great Lakes region, particularly after the Rwandan genocide, exacerbated tensions in the DRC, with the influx of Hutu extremists from Rwanda leading to increased violence against Tutsi communities, including the Banyamulenge. 2. Warnings ignored and inaction. Rwanda, early signs of genocide. The international community received numerous warnings about the increasing ethnic tensions in Rwanda and the possibility of mass violence. Despite these warnings, including from UN officials and human rights organizations, the global response was tragically slow. The assassination of Rwandan President Juvenal Habyarimana on April 6, 1994, triggered the genocide. But the UN and major powers failed to take decisive action. The UN Security Council, dominated by the US, France, and the UK, reduced its peacekeeping presence in Rwanda, instead of bolstering it when intervention was most needed. The Congo ongoing violence against Tutsi Congolese today in the DRC, similar warnings are being ignored as Tutsi Congolese face targeted violence. The Banyamulenge community in particular has been subjected to ethnic targeting, massacres, and the destruction of their villages by various armed groups. Despite clear evidence of these atrocities, the global response remains inadequate. The UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC has been criticized for failing to protect vulnerable populations, and international attention to the crisis has been limited. 3. International indifference and repetition of history. Rwanda, a legacy of failure. The world's failure to intervene in Rwanda led to one of the most horrific genocides of the 20th century. The UN and various countries have since acknowledged their failure, with formal apologies and reflections on the inaction that allowed the genocide to occur. However, these acknowledgments came too late for the hundreds of thousands who perished, and the legacy of this inaction has had long-term consequences, including regional instability and continued violence in the Great Lakes region. The Congo, echoes of 1994, the current situation in the DRC echoes the early stages of the Rwandan genocide. The targeting of the Banyamulenge and other Tutsi Congolese, the spread of ethnic hatred, and the failure of the international community to intervene effectively are all reminiscent of the world's inaction in 1994. Without decisive action, there is a real danger that the violence could escalate into broader ethnic cleansing or even genocide. 4. The role of regional and international actors. Rwanda's past and France's controversial role during the Rwandan genocide. France provided military assistance to the Hutu-led government despite the ongoing massacres. Operation Turquoise, a French-led military intervention, has been criticized for allowing many perpetrators of the genocide to escape. This failure highlights the complexities and dangers of international involvement when driven by political interests rather than humanitarian concerns. Congo's complex regional dynamics. In the DRC, the conflict is deeply intertwined with the politics of the Great Lakes region. Neighboring countries, particularly Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi, have complex relationships with various armed groups in the DRC, further complicating the situation. The international community, including the African Union, the United Nations, and major powers, has a responsibility to act, but has so far been largely reactive rather than proactive in addressing the root causes of the violence. 5. The need for immediate and decisive action. Rwanda. Lessons learned. The international community's failure in Rwanda has led to significant soul-searching and the development of new doctrines like the responsibility to protect, aimed at preventing such atrocities in the future. However, these lessons are meaningless if they are not applied to current crises. Congo. Avoiding another tragedy in the DRC, raising global awareness about the plight of Tutsi Congolese is crucial. Immediate measures are needed to protect vulnerable populations, strengthen the mandate of MONUSCO, and hold perpetrators accountable. Long-term solutions must address the root causes of the conflict, promote reconciliation, and support inclusive governance in the DRC. Conclusion. The ongoing violence against Tutsi Congolese, particularly the Banyamulenge, is a tragic reminder of the world's failure to prevent genocide and ethnic cleansing. Despite the lessons of Rwanda, the international community's response has been woefully inadequate. To prevent another atrocity, there must be a concerted effort to protect vulnerable populations, raise global awareness, and address the underlying causes of the conflict. The world cannot afford to repeat the mistakes of the past by ignoring the warning signs and failing to act. The legacy of Rwanda must serve as a call to action, not just a reflection of past failures. This combined piece integrates the discussion of historical context, international inaction, and the similarities between the Rwandan genocide and the current crisis in the Congo. It emphasizes the need for immediate and decisive action to prevent a repeat of the tragic events of 1994.